You're familiar with Pixar movies, trust me. You've seen Incredibles, you've seen Ratatouille, you've seen Up, you've seen WALL-E, you've seen Finding Nemo, and you've seen Toy Story. Unless you haven't, then that's awkward. That's really get a life, buckaroo. All of these movies have one thing in common. They're really good. If you were to ask someone their favorite Pixar movie, it would be one of the ones I just listed, probably. So that raises the question, where are they now? I cannot explain how close we are to 1 subscriber. That's like a whole person. We're so close. Let's just get there, all right? Yeah. A lot of naysayers think, well, there hasn't been a good Pixar movie since 2017 with the release of Coco. Now, yes, Coco is a good movie, but why wasn't anything before it kind of recognized as being good? Because you had Inside Out, you had Toy Story 3. Another thing is that sequels are a problem with Pixar, right? They made all these good movies, and now they're just dabbling in sequels. That's just another thing to consider. This era was filled with sequels. Right before Coco, there was Monsters University, there was Cars 2, there was Cars 3 in the same year as Coco. Oh, what other sequels were there? There was Finding Dory. Finding Dory came out in 2016. This was like 4 sequels in like way too short of a time, right? But even then, there was a good balance of original movies. You had The Good Dinosaur, Inside Out, Brave, and all these movies and such. It was pretty good. It was a good time, right? You were a grown-up, born in like 2008 or something, and you're like, I'm gonna go watch a Pixar movie. You pull out Monsters Inc. and you go, you know the song. It's a meme now, I guess, so yeah, kids. Another thing that people complain about is that it's just not good anymore. And that's really a combination of nostalgia and then just the movie quality not being as high. When you have such a high standard for yourself, especially with sequels, because it's a direct competition, really. When you set a high bar, it's hard to get over that bar. It's hard to do better with Monsters, Inc. You have a great movie there, and then you do a second one, and yes, it's good, but it's not as good as the first one. That's how sequels always go, except Pixar, in my opinion, it does it pretty well. Onward gets a lot of junk for really a lot of reasons, but it was a box office failure, and that kind of marked the downfall in people's eyes of Pixar as a whole. When it came out, it was scheduled to be, 2020, the best year of all of our lives. And what happened? Well, if you remember correctly, there's a little thing that maybe got a little COVID. There's this movie coming out, right? It's Pixar. Woo, Pixar movies. Can't complain about that. But then, instead of having it do well in the theaters, it gets canceled. You have to stop the theatrical releases because no one can go to the theater. So naturally, it fails. But because of COVID, the theater shut down. We weren't able to go see these movies on a big screen and enjoy them to the max, really. Because movies are just better in a theater. That's just how it is. That's how they're meant to be watched. You imagine watching Oppenheimer on your phone. It's like the bomb goes off and it's just on your screen. You watch it in a theater, it's like Cars 2 all over again. So because of this idea of theaters no longer being open, there's Soul, Luca, Turning Red to an extent, and Lightyear that come out. Now, don't get me wrong, 2 of those movies sucked. But Luca and Soul are arguably some of the best Pixar movies ever released. But because they're released straight to Disney Plus, it feels like just another thing that's there. There's nothing interesting about sitting at home and watching a movie, especially when you have the option to watch it in a theater. But in this case, you didn't. It's like watching a YouTube video. Like, if you're watching this actively right now, you're going to sit here, you're going to listen to it, and you're going to go on in your life, and it's not going to have an effect on you. You're just listening to some random kid talk about Pixar movies. Why? I don't know. Thanks. When you're watching it not in a movie theater setting, it becomes a lot harder to pay attention because you're at home. There's distractions. It's like, oh, I can go get my pizza rolls out of the oven and my bagel bites. Daddy, get up. Work out. Because of the virus, these movies were essentially ruined. Now think about it. When a big movie is coming out, there's hype behind it. Everyone's getting excited to see this movie that's going to be in theaters. You're going to go in and you're going to go watch it. With Luca, Soul, Onward, Turning Red, Lightyear, there was no hype whatsoever. It was just, hey look, a new Pixar movie. Think about Elemental, right? All this stuff is breezed over. It's back in the theaters. We're having a great time. there's no hype for it. You just see the ads, and it's like you still have that mentality of it's just another movie. And that becomes problematic because now there's no way to build up that hype unless it's an exciting movie. Elemental was more of a love story, so it was harder to build hype for it. Think about Batman versus Superman. Yeah, that thing that happened at some point. There was so much hype surrounding that movie. It was Batman and Superman, for crying out loud. Those two guys are kind of cool, except one's cooler than the other because he's black. I don't know if I can say that. Everyone was so excited to go see this movie. The next thing you know, it's like, wow, they fought, and then it ended, and then no one has ever spoken about that movie since it came out like 8 years ago. It's gone. It's over. Everyone forgot about it. And now DC movies aren't doing too well. Think about The Flash. That movie's failing in the box office bad. You'll look up movie reviews, and all I see are like videos of why Flash is hot garbage or why it's a mess. And yes, DC can still make good movies. It's just now that they've made one bad one, it's harder to get any of the other ones to be advertised as something that people should be excited for. For Marvel, now that Endgame is here, no one really cares. You got She-Hulk. You want She-Hulk? No one wants She-Hulk. Back to the cannot make that joke, cannot make that joke, cannot make that. So during COVID, there's all these other things to watch. And now people are moving away from Pixar because they think, well, I'm getting bored of it. We got Lightyear that just came out. Oh, hello. So I was recording something I can put on pause. You guys are good? Sorry. No, you're fine. You're fine. I couldn't bring myself to talk in front of people while they were waiting for me to leave, so I'm just going to finish up over here. Even if Pixar isn't good anymore, we have to make it good. How do we do that, you may ask? Oh, well, you're talking to the right guy. I'm a 16-year-old with half a brain and $4. I'm qualified. From what I can tell, the best way to solve this problem is to support original stuff. The best thing we can do for future generations is give them what we had. We had all of these movies that we grew up on, and I mean, I'm 16, I'm kind of in that space where I want to see good stuff now, but you know what I mean. We need to make it so that we get original stuff, we get new stuff. We need to support what we already have so that we can see something similar be made now. Because Elemental's not going to cut it. By itself, no. But if we have other things that are creatively intelligent, actually interesting, beautiful, and all of these things that make Pixar Pixar, if we can reinvent that, then we're good. I'm going to go make a video about why Lightyear and Turning Red sucked, so that's that. But, you know, from here on out, it'll probably try to be good to it. You forget Lightyear and I am a hypocrite. Anyway, it seems as though you have made it this far, so why don't you go ahead and subscribe, please? I'm trying to get past 1 subscriber because it's a lot harder than I expected. Please help.